I'm very delighted to welcome him. Arvind,
I'm
how
Uncle.
are you? Okay, you settled down now?
Yeah, yeah. All good.
Okay, okay. And you have seen your parents who were living in Dubai,
Yeah, yeah.
so you got the blessing from them too.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, okay. This is your stage. You can please take it over.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your very kind words and very kind introduction. I would like to start by offering my most humble and reverential pranams at our beloved Bhagwan's divine lotus feet. I have been blessed by the infinite and abundant grace of our divine Lord. And today I'd like to talk through my journey of how Swami has guided me through different stages of my life and how Swami has had an impact in every stage of my life. So let me take you back to 2010, 2000, September 2000, which is when I was born in Chennai. Both my parents were fairly similar to each other. They were both from the same place back home, and they were both chartered accountants as well. But they did differ with respect to one major aspect, with respect to Swami. Um, my mother and her entire family were ardent devotees of our beloved Bhagwan right from a very young age. Where on the other hand, my dad was the exact opposite. So when I was about three, as a family, we moved to a small country called Bahrain. So this is where me and our family started going to Sai Bhajans together. So let me set the scene and tell you what the situation was like. So my mother and my sister would be sat right up front in the second or third row, vehemently giving chorus and quite frequently shedding drops of tears from their eyes. While on the other hand, a not so interested father of mine and a 3 year old me would be sat right at the back and even more vehemently snoring and quite frequently drooling as well. So this was the situation. And it continued to go on for a while until all of it changed on July 12th, 2005. And I think this experience is quite apt today being Mother's Day as well. Um, I think this experience is quite apt as it is an experience that my mother had, which included me as well. Um, so one day I was coming back from school, just as any other normal day, and my mom happened to be busy with work, so she was stuck at the office. And naturally, she asked our helper to come pick me up from the bus stand, me and my sister from the bus stand. So she was waiting at the bus stand. The bus arrives. I get down, and as I'm getting down, my hand gets stuck in the automatic door of the bus. And I was a 4 year old kid, and I was really small as well. So the driver didn't notice this and started taking the bus off. And my hand was still stuck to this door, and I was running along with the bus. And the helper is tense. She doesn't know what to do. She starts screaming, and suddenly, when she screams, my hand comes out of the door. I slip and I fall on the road. My face is dragged across the road, and I lose the skin on this half of my face. And quite frankly, it looked like the poster of a horror movie. And the wheel of the bus also went over my left hand, and the bone had popped out of my skin. It was quite a disturbing and brutal accident. And by this time, the driver realized that this had happened. He stops the bus. The helper comes, gets me, puts me in the bus, and we were driving towards a hospital nearby. And at the same time, the helper calls my dad because she's panicking. She doesn't know what to do. She calls my dad and she says, "Arvind is met with an accident. I don't know what to do. Please come fast, Anna." And she cuts the call. The other end, my dad's like, "Hello, hello, what's going on?" And he doesn't know what's happening. So my dad panics and now he calls my mother and he says, "Our son is met with an accident." And he had to dramatize it a bit further. He says, "I don't know if he's alive. Now keep going to your office and those bhajans of yours." And he cuts the call. Now my mother is left at a cliffhanger. And quite shocked and out of panic, she rushes out of work and manages to come to this hospital into which I was admitted. And she finds out that I wasn't dead as such. I was still alive by the grace of the Lord. And she finds out that when my face was dragged across the road, I had lost the skin right up to my eye. Nothing happened to my eye. A piece of tar had gone into my skin right above the eye, and I'd lost the skin above my eye as well. And the doctor said he couldn't understand how my eye was left undamaged and how I had survived that. So I underwent an operation for my hand, and a couple of months had passed, and my hand was still paralyzed and I couldn't move it, which is why we went to a lot of physiotherapy sessions, me and my mother together. And during one of these sessions, the doctor said that I could potentially have problems with my nerves, which is why my hand wasn't working. So we decided to go to a local hospital near the house and conduct a test to see what the situation was. The doctor comes out, and because this was a predominantly Arabic speaking local hospital, doctor comes out and says the nerves aren't there, which essentially means that I would never be able to move my hand or clench my fist and do this ever in my life. My mother was distraught, and she didn't cry. She stayed strong. She went and sat in the waiting area where I was still being examined. She takes out this picture of Swami that she always has in her handbag, looks at the picture and says, Swami, why could this not have happened to me, just as any mother would do out of love? And then she further proceeds to ask, Swami, is my son going to be okay? Are the nerves there? And right at that point in time, a nurse walks into the waiting room and says something to this old couple sat behind my mother, and says something in English, quite surprisingly, in this Arabic speaking hospital. She says, it is there. And my mother, out of disbelief and immaturity, looks at Swami's picture again and says, Swami, really? I want confirmation. Please give me confirmation, out of pure immaturity and disbelief. And lo and behold, the Lord of the universe is up to the task, because the nurse restates herself, saying, it is there. How many times do I have to tell you before you believe me? And then walks out of the room. After this, I was taken to India, um, and this exact same test was conducted again. And the doctor came out and said, your son is perfectly all right. We will do another operation and he will be back to normal. And they did another operation just as they said. And now my hand is as good as it can ever be, as though nothing is wrong with it. And it is all due to Swami's divine grace. So now my mother narrates this story to my father. My father's taken aback. And quite honestly, he was transformed since that day as well, which is when he became a Sai devotee. So now that our entire family believed in Swami and were devotees of his message, my parents decided that it would be a good idea for me to start going to SSE classes, which was known as Balvikas back in the day. As a 6 year old kid, I was very impatient, and I didn't like the idea of sitting down in one place and having to listen to shlokas and sing bhajans and stuff. It didn't amuse me at the time. So the first day I was being taken to SSE classes, I was crying and protesting the idea. But my parents managed to send me through. And now that I look back at it, going through the SSE curriculum has shaped so much of my personality and my core moral beliefs. And I genuinely cannot imagine the kind of person I would be without having those lessons taught to me at such a young and formative age. So this went on for quite a while. We were all going to bhajans. I went to my Balvikas classes with my sister, and we were all happy. My parents started frequently going to the bhajan center, and they were given the opportunity to become bhajan singers in the center as well. So the situation was something like this. The bhajans used to happen on every Friday evening, and the bhajan singers used to come to the center every Wednesday evening to have a practice session, just so that they check everything is okay and whatnot. So one day, my dad decided it would be a good idea for me and my sister to come along to these bhajan practice sessions as well. So we go along, and I sit there and I'm enthusiastically, clapping my hands, doing all kinds of weird stuff and giving chorus. And the bhajan coordinator looks at this, and she, she has a smile on her face. And then she asks me how old I was. And then she asked me if I'd be interested to sing a bhajan. And she said, "Do you want to sing a bhajan in the mic during the practice session?" And I was very excited. I said, "Yes, of course." As a small 8-year old kid being given the opportunity to sing in a mic in the center, I was very excited. And I sang the first bhajan that came into my head, which was the bhajan that we had learned that week in Bal Vikas, which goes something like this. गोविन्द राम जय जय गोपाल राम माधव राम जय जय केशव राम गोविन्द राम जय जय गोपाल राम दुर्लभ राम जय जय सुलभ राम एक तू राम जय जय अनेक तू राम गोविन्द राम Jai Jai Gopal Rama. And I sing this bhajan, and the bhajan coordinator is very impressed, and she says, "Wow, Kanna, you sang very nicely. Why don't you keep practicing? And if you keep practicing, I will give you an opportunity to sing in the actual bhajan session." I was very excited. This is when my passion for music started. Swami sparked that passion within me by giving me the opportunity to sing bhajans. And I kept practicing. And a year down the line, when I was about 9 years old, I was given my first opportunity to sing in the Sai Center. And I sang a bhajan called Bhola Bhandari Baba. It goes something like, Bhola Bhandari Baba, Shiva 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 Sai Baba, Anath Rakshak Deen Dayala Patita Pavan Sai Baba, Bhola Bhandari Baba, Shiva 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 Sai Baba, Yogeshwara Sai Murari, Yogeshwara He Tripurari, Nityananda Brahmananda, Premananda Sai Baba. Bhola Bhandari Baba, Shiva 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 Sai Baba. So once I sang this bhajan, a lot of people came up to me, said, I mean, they said I sang really well, and this gave me a lot of motivation. And I continued practicing singing bhajans, and I'd become a regular singer at the center as well. Life was good. And then when I was about 13 years old, as a family, we moved out to Saudi Arabia. We moved out from Bahrain and into Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, there were no Balvikas classes. We had bhajans every week, but it was quite small. It was about two families getting together in a house singing bhajans, and it was not the same as Bahrain. It was at this point in life where I felt that I moved away from Swami. If there was ever a point in my life where I'd moved away from Swami, that was probably that phase of 2 years in Saudi. And just as I was finishing my year 10, my dad brought up the idea of me going to Parthi and studying there. So my dad had this dream of me being a Sai student right from when I was a kid, and he brought this up. Although I loved singing bhajans and going to Bal Vikas, doing all of that, my love for Swami hadn't intensified to the desire to study in Parthi. So again, my initial reaction was protest. I said, no, I don't want to move out of the house. I don't want to live in a hostel. I don't want to study in Swami school. And after a lot of tough conversations and after a lot of debates with my parents, we came to a consensus that I would move out of Saudi and I would go to India, live with my grandparents and my mother, and study in a school in Chennai, where I'd not have to go to a hostel. I said, okay, fine. And we had heard that there was a school in Chennai by the name State Bank of India Higher Secondary School, which is a well-reputed school. So my mother said, okay, fine, let's try get you into that school. So one fine afternoon, my mother asks me to get the laptop to the living room so that we could research the admission process and get it started, because there's not a lot of time left. So I open the laptop up and I open the internet browser. I go to Google and I type in SBOI. And what came in the results was Sai Baba of India. And my mother's immediate reaction was, oh my God, this is Swami's miracle. You have to study in Parthi. And then at that exact point in time, I look up to the skies and I say, Swami, seriously? Sai Baba of India. And there was no way I could talk myself out of going to the entrance exam now. So my parents had convinced me to go to come to Parthi, and I was about to give the entrance exam. When I gave the entrance exam, I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't prepare as well as I need to, and I didn't actively try do bad. I didn't answer a question wrong, even though I knew the answer. Not anything like that. But I didn't do well, and I knew that I wouldn't get in. So I come back after the entrance exam. We go to our accommodation in Parthi. I tell my parents, yeah, I didn't go too well. I'm not going to get in. You tell me whatever you want. I am not going to study in Parthi. And I'm quite happy. And the way it works in Parthi is they post the entrance exam results on the notice board in the school at 6 in the morning. So now that the entrance exam is over, the next day morning, we wake up quite early, shower, get dressed in whites. Me, my dad, and my mother, we're walking towards the school. And on our way there, we see a lot of parents and children coming back with frowns on their faces because they're disappointed that they didn't manage to get in. And I said, if these people who tried so hard are not getting in, I didn't even try. I'm definitely not going to get in. And I kept irritating my father on the way there. And we get to the school notice board, and believe it or not, out of the 500 odd people who applied, my name was ninth amongst that list. And my immediate reaction was unstoppable tears. I just sank to the floor and started crying. And my dad was ecstatic. He said, yes, you cleared the entrance exam. And another parent comes to my dad, sees me crying, comes to my dad and says, oh, it's okay. Tell your son not to feel too bad that he didn't get in. Even our son didn't get in. Maybe Swami has better plans for our children. And then my dad says, no, no, my son got in. And then the other parent says, then why is he crying? My dad says, oh, it's tears of joy. I look up my dad and says, tears of joy. Seriously. I'm really annoyed. And that afternoon was meant to be the interview. Now that I was going in for the interview, I told my dad, and I thought to myself as well, now this is completely in my hands. Okay. I am going to give an answer to the interviewer. It is not like an exam wherein I write my result and, Swami can miraculously come and change my answers and get me through the entrance exam. I am in control of the answer that I give. I will give my answer in the interview room. And as we're waiting outside the interview room, and as the other people were coming out of the interview room, one common question that every potential candidate was being asked was, "Why do you want to study in Parthi?" And I was preparing myself to answer this question while giving disclaimers to my parents. I said, "I want to study here because my parents are forcing me to." Okay, and this is my answer, very clear. I was not going to faff about, and I was very clear with my answer. We go up to the interview room. It was my turn. We enter the interview room. I sit in front of the panel. They ask a few introductory questions, what my name was, where I was from, um, what my hobbies were, all of that. And then they ask the question, why do you want to study here? And then I go blank. I walk out of the interview room and I ask my father, what did I say when they asked me that question? My dad says, do you not remember? And I said, no, please tell me, what did I say? He said, you said as though the question wasn't worthy of being asked. You said, I want to study here because it is Swami school. Lo and behold, the Divine Master played with my life again. I got into Parthi, and against all my wishes, I got into Parthi and I started studying there. And now that I look back at those 2 years in Parthi, they were probably the most important 2 years of my life, because the number of life lessons that I learned during my stay at Parthi, which I still hold very close to my heart, are invaluable. Um, but it wasn't rosy all from the start. I mean, as I said, I didn't want to study there at the start. So let me talk through my experience of being a Sai student. So when I joined, as I mentioned, I was quite against the idea of studying there, and I didn't like it, and I found it very hard to cope up with the schedule that they had. Let me talk you through the schedule as well. You wake up at 5 in the morning, have suprabhatam at half five, and then compulsory jogging and exercises at 6, games at half 6, breakfast at half 7, and then you go to school at 9, have an hour break for lunch from half 12 to half 1, and then go back to school. I come back around 4, have 30 minutes to sort of refresh, get a cup of tea, wash your face, and then we go to Mandir at about quarter to 5. Sit in Mandir for bhajans, come back, have compulsory Vedam lessons. After Vedam, we have dinner, and after dinner, we have 2 hours of studying. And this was the routine every day in and day out. It was the same thing. And initially, I struggled a lot to sort of cope with the schedule. But over time, um, I did manage to cope with the schedule, and I started enjoying living in a hostel. I started enjoying getting to know people from so many different parts of the country and even the world for that matter. Um, I got an insight into the perspectives of so many different types of people, and I realized how life, as I thought, wasn't all that life was. Life wasn't this little bubble that I was aware of as a 15-year-old. There was so much more to life, and there were so many more struggles that a lot of people faced, which I wouldn't have even been aware of had I not been to Parthi. And that really um, shaped my becoming as a young adult. Um, 11th standard went on quite well. I was not involved in a lot of sports activities or extracurricular activities. I was sort of always behind the scenes. I was involved in music, but nothing beyond that. Which is why when year 12 started, I was very surprised when I was given the opportunity to be the extracurricular activities captain of my house in school. I was very surprised. The morning of the assembly in which they announced this, I was surprised, and I was excited as well. And I thanked Swami for giving me the opportunity. And that day when we went to Mandir, there is this Ganesha statue right outside Kulwant Hall. Um, I stood in front of the Ganesha statue and I prayed to Swami. I said, Swami, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I prayed to Swami my two biggest dreams. I had set myself two goals, or two dreams, or two desires, if you want to call it that I wanted to achieve during my stay in Parthi as a Sai student. I wanted to get the opportunity to sing in Kulwant Hall as a bhajan singer, which was my biggest dream. And I wanted the opportunity to lead my team to victory and receive the trophy in Kulwant Hall. So these were my two biggest dreams. I pray to Swami, and I walk into Mandir, and I sort of forget about it. Um, a couple of months down the line, the Prashanti Mandir Bhajan group conduct an audition for all the schoolboys. Um, it was quite hard for the schoolboys to get into the Prashanti Mandir group because to put it into perspective, the year that we were auditioning, the last time anyone from school had got in was 6 years before that. So it was very hard for a student, for a school student to get into the Mandir group. So we give our auditions. It went on well, but at the end of it all, none of us were selected to be part of the Mandir Bhajan group. And I was disappointed, and I thought to myself, oh, well, my dream of singing in Kulwant Hall is probably not going to come true. My dream of singing as a Sai student in Kulwant Hall is probably not going to come true. It is okay. And I made peace with it and I moved on. So a few months down the line in December, this is when all of Swami students, we start preparing for the sports meet. So for those of you who don't know what sports meet is, it is an event that is performed by all of Swami's students from all of the different institutes. We all come together in Parthi in in the second or third week of January, and offer a cultural presentation to Swami. This includes dancing, dramas, musical offerings, sporting activities, stunts, all of that sort. So in December, we started preparing for the sports meet, and the 12th standard school boys usually put up a drama in Kulwant Hall. So I was selected to be a part of this team of 12 boys who were given the responsibility to come up with a concept and a script which was going to be performed as a drama in Kulwant Hall. And we had 1 month to do it. So the 12 of us sat down and we all came up with different ideas. So we came up with 12 different ideas and concepts. And we go up to the person in charge of the drama and we all tell our ideas. And it so happened that the person picked the idea that I had come up with, and we spent the next about a week or so um, developing that idea and sort of bouncing off each other's thoughts and writing a script, finalizing the characters, and all of that. And once that was done, the actors sort of took it upon themselves to start practicing the drama and getting into the roles. Now that the script writing process was done, I immediately moved on to the music side of things, and I was also part of the team that composed and wrote the song that would be performed at the end of the drama. So we again we sort of wrote the lyrics, came up with melody ideas, and did everything and had the song ready. Then we went into the recording studio, recorded the entire song, and we came out. And as we were coming out, I thought to myself, "Wow, look at how much I'm doing. I am the one who wrote the script. I am the one who came up with the concept. I am the one who made the final song. Well, this drama probably couldn't even exist without me." Okay. And I think that to myself, which is quite funny when I look back at it now. And I go back to hostel, and I fall asleep that night. And the next couple of days, I was sort of sidelined in the script writing, and I mean like the drama aspect of it, as I didn't have much to do because the script was done and the actors had to practice their roles. So I was sort of sidelined in that aspect. And as the song was recorded, I was sidelined on that aspect as well. So I was no longer under the spotlight. And a couple of days went by, and the final version of the song came through. And when we heard it, it so happened that my voice was heard only for one line in this song. This song was about to be played in Kulwant Hall. So I thought to myself, when this song is being recorded, okay, even if I don't get the opportunity to sing a bhajan in Kulwant Hall, my voice will still be heard through this song. So it's all good. But my voice is only about to be heard for this one line. And I was very disappointed and, quite frankly, annoyed at Swami for this happening. And I just felt a bit neglected over the next couple of days because I didn't have much to offer or much to contribute towards the final drama. The day before the actual drama, the person in charge of the drama calls all of our batch to the prayer hall so that the drama could be put up in full costume with all of the music and sets so that the entire year gets a feel of what the drama is going to be like the following day. And as the drama is unfolding, I get this sort of realization. The concept of the drama was tu hi karam, tu hi karta, which quite literally translates to you are the act, you are the doer. And as the character within that drama realizes this message and realizes that he was wrong for thinking he was the one doing what he was doing throughout, I realized the exact same message as well. I realized how ignorant I had been to the message of the very drama that I was writing. And I closed my eyes and I apologized sincerely to Swami, saying, Swami, I'm very sorry for having the kind of thoughts that I did over the past week and for behaving the way I did. You are the doer. I am so sorry for having let my ego overpower me. I am really sorry, Swami. I just closed my eyes and it is literally just this much. There's a thought for about 10-15 seconds. The drama finishes. I go up to Swami's shrine, fall at his lotus feet, pray to him, and then come back to my room, fall asleep. Next day morning, the person in charge of the drama again calls me. He says, Arvind, do you have a fresh pair of whites? I said, yes, sir, I should. He said, okay, fine. I will buy you a rose. I want you to offer this rose at Swami's Samadhi today before the drama starts. I was very excited. I said, of course, sir. Yes. I ran back to my room, borrow an iron box from my roommate. I started ironing my t-shirt, my shirt. And at the same time, another person walks into the room. So this person lived in the hostel as well, and he was part of the Prashanti Mandir Bhajan group. He says, Arvind, do you think schoolboys will be ready to sing bhajans after today's drama in Mandir? And I said, yes, sir. Of course we'll be ready. He said, okay, fine. Get all the bhajan boys, meet me in the music room, and we'll have a short practice session. I said, okay, sir. I call all of the bhajan singers. We rush to the music room. practice a few bhajans, and uh, it is all approved. I collect my rose from the sir, and I come back to my room, get dressed, and I'm literally running to Kulwant Hall. And I pray to this Ganesha outside Kulwant Hall every day, as I mentioned before. And this day, because I was in such a hurry, I just ran inside Kulwant Hall, and I sat right up front. And this person in the bhajan group comes up to me, and he says, and he gives me a 10 rupee note, and he says, "Today is going to be your first bhajan in Kulwant Hall. Go outside, get yourself a coconut, and break it in front of the Ganesha. Pray to Swami that everything goes on well." I said, "Yes, sir, of course." I'm not thinking much because I'm so overwhelmed with what is happening. So I'm not thinking much. I said, "Yes, sir." I take the 10 rupee note, go outside the ashram, find a lady who's selling coconuts, buy a coconut off her, and come back to the Ganesha gate. I give it to the pujari. And as he's breaking the coconut, I close my eyes, which is when it all hit me. All it took from my end for my biggest dream of singing in Kulwant Hall to come true was to let go of my ego, was to accept that I was wrong for being egoistic. And Swami is so forgiving, so merciful that he showers his blessings upon you instantaneously. I had this thought of, um, I had this apology to Swami literally as a thought for about 15 seconds the night before. Almost instantaneously, here was my biggest dream as a Sai student about to come true. I had a drop of tear in my eye as I opened my eyes. I thank Swami for everything that he had given me. Walk back into Kulwant Hall, and the drama goes on well. And once the drama is completed, I get to sing my first bhajan, which also happened to be a Ganesh bhajan. It goes something like this. Jai 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 Gananayaka, Jai Jai Vigna Vinashaka, Jaya Shubha Mangaladayaka, Vidya Buddhi Pradayaka, Gajavadana Gauri Nandana, Gajavadana Gauri Nandana, Gangadhara Shiva Shambhu Nandana, Gangadhara Shiva Shambhu Nandana. Jai 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 Gananayaka, Jai Jai Vigna Vinashaka. That day, to this point, happens to be one of the best days of my life, which I hold very close to my heart. And I'm extremely grateful to Swami for all his blessings and for all the opportunities that he has given me. Now that the drama was done, all of our batch started focusing on our final exams. And we had a mock exam uh, about a week after the drama. And because all of us were still caught up in the hangover of, putting up the drama in front of Swami, we didn't prepare so well. And the mock exam went terribly for our entire batch. And at the end of February, all the year 12 and year 10 boys usually get the opportunity to have a musical offering in Kulwant Hall, so as to show our gratitude when we are leaving the institution. Um, and in this program, the boys usually compose their own songs and sing it in front of Swami as well. And because we had done so poorly as a batch, our teachers came up to us and told, "You guys will not be given the opportunity to compose a song. It is too time consuming for you guys to sit down, compose a song, teach it to all of the students, and then perform it. You guys are just going to sing all of the standard songs from the Vandana book, which is a song book that all Sai students have." Um, and all of us were very disappointed. We said, "No, sir, we want to compose and have our own offering to Swami." And after a couple of conversations, the sir finally agreed because we were pestering him so much. He said, "Okay, fine. If you can come up with a song by tomorrow morning, you can perform it. Otherwise, no. Is it a deal?" And he said, "Yes, sir." We took whatever we could get. And that day in Mandir, there's this guy who usually writes the lyrics in our batch. He's a poet, and his name is Harsh. So he wrote down the lyrics, and we came back to hostel from Mandir, and this guy Harsh comes to my room. So one of my other roommates, Divas, he's also a bhajan singer, and he also happened to be my bhajan partner. And Harsh comes to my room. Me, Divas, and Harsh, we're all sat in a circle, and this guy gives me all of the lyrical ideas that he had come up with in Mandir. So I take a look at that sheet, and I kid you not, I sang the entire song from start to finish in the first attempt, and I remembered the entire thing. There is no way I could physically do that myself because I'm a musician now, and when I try compose songs, it is so hard to get ideas that are heart touching and soulful. And that day, when I needed it to happen the most, it just happened, and I sang out the entire song. It goes something like this. तेरे बिना अब मन नहीं लगता तेरी याद सताती दिन रात लम्हा लम्हा जीता रहा हो जाऊंगा अब बेसहारा ओ साई अगर भूल जाऊं तुमको साई तुम ढूंढ लेना मुझको. I sang this entire song, top to finish, and we take it to our sir, sing it to him, and he approves the song. My dear brothers and sisters, as I said, I could never have done that myself. It is Swami doing it through me. And that day I realized that when we yearn to serve Swami, when we yearn so much to do something for Swami, Swami gives us the ability to do it. And Swami facilitates it through us. And we're all very excited, prepare the song, practice it a few times. And then it was the day of the gratitude program when we were meant to go to Kulwant Hall and perform this in front of Swami. That day morning, I woke up with a very bad throat. It was completely sore, and I had a severe cough as well. I didn't want to admit this to anyone. I didn't want to admit it even to myself because I was afraid that I would lose the opportunity to sing in Kulwant. And I wanted every opportunity that I would get to perform there because it was the last few months of me being a Sai student. And I just take a Strepsils, which is a throat mint. I put it in my mouth, and then I'm walking to Kulwant Hall, and it only dissolves when I'm sat in Kulwant Hall right in front of the Samadhi, and I'm coughing continuously. And I was the song that I just sang, which we had composed, was meant to be the first song of the entire program, and I had an alap at the start of it. So I was very tense, and I was coughing profusely. And right when the song was about to start, I turn away from the mic, cough again, close my eyes, pray to Swami. I say, Swami, please take care of everything. And then I open my eyes and I start singing as though everything is okay. Everything happened so seamlessly. Everything just went on perfectly, as though nothing was wrong with my voice. I was so happy. We finished our offering, and as I walk out of Kurvat Hall, I started coughing again. And this is something that I cannot understand even up to date. It is definitely Swami doing it through you, as I've already mentioned. Swami qualifies whoever he calls upon. Swami will give us the ability to serve him, and all we need from our side is that um, desire to serve him, is that want to spread his message, and he will take care of everything else. You take one step towards Swami, and Swami will take 100 steps towards you. So we all come back to the hostel. We're all very happy that the program went on well. And that day night happened to be my interview with uh, the university here in the UK and PwC. My course has a placement integrated within it. So I had to clear a university interview and a job interview as well before getting the offer from the university. So I had my job interview that day night. Um, Having spent so much time in composing this song, practicing it, and all of that, I had completely neglected this aspect, and I hadn't prepared very well. And I thought to myself, you know what, it's going to be okay. Everything will be fine. So this is the plan. I'd go to my wing teacher's room. I was meant to use his laptop and attend the Skype interview from there. So I go to his room, and I join the call. And for some reason, the internet just crashes midway through the call, and I panic. And I just realized that my phone, my wing teacher had my phone with him in his locker, because I was meant to use that when I was traveling back home. So I asked him, sir, can I please have my phone so that I can join the call from there, because your laptop doesn't seem to be working. He says, okay, Sai, here's your phone. I take my phone, put on a data pack on it, rush outside the hostel, because I didn't have signal inside the hostel, rush outside the hostel. And I'm literally below a street lamp outside the hostel at about 11 in the night in India. And I rejoin the call, explain my situation, and they say, okay, it's fine. And we had a case study to read in the call. It was about 20 pages long. We got about 30 minutes to do it. And the case study was about a potential client and a problem they were having. And the last 5 pages of the document were solutions that we were proposing to the client. So the main question was, which solution out of the five in the document would you propose? I read only 15 pages of the document, which meant I read only one solution. Because of all these internet issues, I didn't have the time to read all the solutions. I still didn't panic. I had to obviously say that I would go with this one solution. And I also said it would be wise to sort of implement different solutions as time goes on. And I just sort of waffled my way through. And the interview finished, and I knew it didn't go well. And I was distraught. I called my parents immediately after the interview, and I was crying to them because I was very disappointed in myself and in the fact that I was letting my parents down. I didn't have any other plans for university. For me, it was all or nothing with the UK. And if I didn't get into this university, I would basically have to take a gap year, which I was not ready for. So I basically thought to myself, here was the most important interview of my life, and I just messed it up. I didn't prepare enough for it. I was just caught up in so many different things that I just forgot about this. And I was so disappointed, and I had to let it go. A week down the line, we all gathered in the prayer hall to celebrate one of our batchmates' birthday. We all cut the cake, and as the cake was being distributed, Pink teacher again comes up to me and he says, Sai, your dad sent me a message this morning. You want to read it? I said, yes, sir. And I took his phone, and it said, Sairam, sir, can you please inform Arvind that he has gotten through and has been accepted into the university in the UK? I was in shock. I couldn't believe how this happened because I had messed up that interview in every way possible. There was no way they were selecting me. And I give the phone back to my sir, and I was running around in joy and making a fool out of myself. And that is when I realized, when you do Swami's work, Swami will take care of your work. You don't need to worry about your own work when you're spending time serving Swami. Because when I was spending so much time um, practicing this song to be performed in Kulwant Hall, I was neglecting my interview. But Swami recognizes that you are doing service to him, and he takes care of your own work, which is so beautiful. Um, and I'm ever grateful to Swami for that. Now that I had a conditional offer from my university, the only thing that was left was the board exams. And the board exams went on really well as well. In fact, right before the board exam, the principal took all of our hall tickets, kept it in the shrine in his room, and went to sleep. The next day morning, all of the hall tickets were strewn across the room with vibhuti smothered on all of them, and Swami had materialized a Rudraksh on top of each and every single one of those hall tickets. On top of each and every single one of those hall tickets. I still hold this Rudraksh quite close to heart, and the Vibhuti that came along with my hall ticket in my backpack every day. So this is the Rudraksh. I'm not sure if you can see it well, but because of Swami's blessings, I was able to successfully clear my exams. and come out with flying colors. Now that the board exams are over, we're all bidding farewell to Parthi. Me and my batchmates, we were bidding farewell to Parthi, saying bye to each other, going to Mandir, thinking that this is the last time I'm going to go to Mandir as a Sai student. This is the last time I'm having dinner in Swami's hostel as a Sai student, doing all of that, feeling grateful to Swami. And then we leave Parthi. And then I go to Chennai the next day. And I was meant to stay in Chennai for 2 days with my grandparents and sister, and then go back to Saudi to meet my parents after that. This is when a shocking news hits me. It so happened that one of the exam papers had been leaked, and the Central Board of Education decided that all of the students will have to give a re exam. So it meant we had to go back and write one of the exams again. And this was for economics. And I was very annoyed at the start because I was relieved of, having gone through exam stress, finishing high school and all of that. And all of that was shattered in a second because I had to go through the same thing again. And on top of that, I was also panicking because I had given my notes off to a junior in Parthi, and I was meant to take a flight the next day evening. I couldn't study for this exam without those notes, and I didn't know how I could possibly get those notes from Parthi to Chennai within a span of what, 20 hours. Um, this is when I closed my eyes and chanted three Sai Gayatris. This is something a lot of people in Parthi say. Whenever you feel you are in trouble, whenever you feel confused and you don't know what to do, sit down, relax, pray to Swami, and chant the Sai Gayatri. The power of the Gayatri is so immense. So I chant these three Sai Gayatris and open my eyes, and I suddenly remember that one of my close friends happened to stay back in Parthi for an extra week for no particular reason. He just happened to stay back. So I call him up and I say, Sairam bro, do you think you could get my notes from the hostel? I didn't know what he would do after he got the notes. How he'd get it across to me, I didn't know. But I just said, could you get the notes? So he said, yeah, of course. And he goes to the hostel. So this was Mandir time, which is why all of the boys were in Mandir. And my friend happened to find the room number of this guy that I had given my notes to, goes through his stuff and finds my notes. As he does this, my dad manages to get the contact of a local bus driver in Parthi who drives the bus from Parthi to Chennai. And he gives me that person's number. So I call that person up and say and ask him if I give him if I get my friend to give him my notes, would he be okay to bring it across to Chennai? And he said, yeah, of course, Sairam, I'll do it. And I tell my friend the good news, and then I ask him to go to the bus station and drop this off to the driver. And he does that. And the next day morning, literally about 10 hours after me thinking there was no way I'm going to get these notes, the notes were in my hand. And it is all due to the power of Swami's blessings, the power of the Gayatri. And I was able to study properly for the exam. And all of us were asked to come back into the hostel a week before the actual exam, a week into the build up of the exam, so that we'd spend a week's revising in the hostel and then write the exam. We all go to Parthi, and that is when I realized I had the opportunity to extend my privilege as a Sai student for another week. No student would have possibly got that. This re-exam situation has never happened ever before it happened to me, and it has not happened after it happened as well. So I had the privilege of being a Sai student for another week, which I cherished. And on the final day, uh, wrote the exam in the morning, came back, had lunch, and all of us said, okay, we'll go to Mandir one final time, and then we'll all go back home. Just before going to Mandir, Warden sir comes up to me and he says, Arvind, do you want to take Aarti in Kulwant Hall? And I said, yes, sir, of course. And I go get dressed up in a new pair of whites, go to Kulwant Hall. And on my last day as a Sai student, on my last evening as a Sai student, I spent the evening in Kulwant Hall giving Swami Samadhi Aarti, which is the greatest blessing that I could ever ask for. And I'm so grateful to Swami for that. And to think that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that had the re-exam not happened, It is amazing. When I thought the re-exam was the worst thing that could happen to me, it actually turned out to be one of the best things that could happen to me. And it also turned out that for that particular exam, I was the topper in the entire school, and my name was put up in the merit list on the school's website, which is a huge honor for me that I still hold very close to my heart. I'd like to just share my learning from that experience. That again, whenever you think that something happening to you isn't right or something wrong is happening to you, believe in Swami and trust in the fact that he has a plan and it is happening for your own greater good that you may not be aware of at that point in time, because we're all mere mortals. But as time goes by, Swami does everything for your own benefit. Um, Now that I successfully finished my board exams, I had to make a decision to, in terms of which uni I was going to pick to come to the UK. I was very confused, and I didn't know which university to pick, because there were a lot of pros and cons for every university that I had an offer from. Um, so what I did was I went to Sundaram Center in Chennai, which is Swami's Bhajan Center in Chennai. I go there, make up two chits with each of the university names, throw it in front of Swami's shrine, pick up a chit, and that chit said Newcastle University, and I just accepted it. Those 2 years in Parthi taught me that if I left something up to Swami, Swami will take care of me. Now that I look back at that decision as well, coming to Newcastle University was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because I have found so many wonderful friends. I have found such a beautiful Sai Samiti, such a beautiful Sai's family that I'm very grateful for having. And I'm very grateful for Swami to help me make that decision as well. Even after moving out of Parthi and coming to the UK, I don't feel like a lot has changed. I feel Swami's love and warmth every single day of my life. Every single aspect, every single activity that I do, I feel Swami's divine hand guiding me. Swami has kept giving me abundant opportunities. I have never actively tried to seek out and do Swami's work. Swami has just given me the opportunity to keep serving him and his message, which is especially true during lockdown, when I was involved in a lot of music projects in terms of recording bhajans, composing and recording songs, all to be offered to Swami. And this played a huge role in keeping me sane throughout what I believe was a difficult period for all of us going through lockdown and quarantine and all of that. I'm very grateful to Swami for helping me through that period. uh, I sort of sit back now and think about that one line I sang in Parthi during our gratitude program, which was, "O Sai, agar bhool jaun tumko, tum dhoond lena humko." And that quite literally translates to, "O Sai, even if I do forget you, please find me back." And I believe that as long as we pray to Swami, as long as we pray to Swami that He takes care of us, He will never let us go. I'd like to take this opportunity to pray that Swami keeps engaging me and all of us in spreading his divine message and his glory. I'm so grateful for everything that Swami has given me. I owe everything that I am and everything that I ever will be to Swami. I would like to conclude by singing a small bhajan that I had composed for Swami as a child. Hmm. सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम सत्य साई देवा, तेरे चरणों में हम, ओ साई, तेरे चरणों में हम। दीनबन्धु करुण सिन्धु ईश्वराम्बनन्दना, सत्यस्वरूपा साई भगवान्, धर्मस्वरूपा साई भगवान्, शान्तिस्वरूपा साई भगवान्, प्रेमस्वरूपा साई भगवान्, प्रेम स्वरूपा साई साईं भगवान, साईं राम साईं श्याम मेरे भगवान. जय साईं राम.
Sairam, Arvind,
Sai Ram
thank
uncle.
you very much. You are a wonderful storyteller, you know that. Nowadays, when you see a film, normally they show a very intense scene from the movie.
Uh-huh.
The story is unfold as a flashback. You
Yes,
started with a very, I don't know, very touching story. I would say very, very intense story, and they unfold your story into your life. Very nice. Okay, very nice. Thank you very much. I call Dr. Upadhyay at this time to comment on this talk.
I've got no Sairam, Arvind, I've got no words actually. It was so captivating actually, and you summed up so beautifully. If you do Swami's work, Swami will take care of all the things which you want to achieve.
definitely.
And you summed up so beautifully. अगर मैं खो जाऊं तो स्वामी ढूंढ लेना. Although you forget, even if you are lost in this world, he will find you, as you are that wonderful instrumenter. But I'm so happy that Brother Amlan has brought you, because in this day and time, a lot of youth, they are thinking that I have nothing to do. They feel disconnected, and given the message what they can do during this time. And your parents, and I think whole Sai organization is very, very proud of you. May God bless you. Saira.
So much, uncle. Sai Ram.
Actually, brother Dr. Upadhyay is correct. We thanking to your parents too to have a wonderful child. This one, and you are very inspirational to not only for youth, to us too. How we should take the life is given to us like a God's gift or prasad. We say, thank you very much. Okay, would you like to take some questions from us?
Definitely, definitely, uncle.
Okay, whatever you just talk from your heart, that's all we need. And
Yeah, definitely, uncle.
okay, so in that case, can I ask the first question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay, if you going to say, you must have seen my leaflet there, like a Wi-Fi. Say, what's the password to get connected to Swami? Yeah, if you are just trying to, I know there's so many things. If you're trying to put it in a nutshell form, what will be your answer to getting connected to Swami
uh,
continuously throughout?
for me personally, this is something that my warden sir told me when I was in year 12. He told me that I need to spend some time out of my day for Swami. Whatever, be it whatever, listening to bhajans, singing bhajans, doing seva. It could even be as simple as talking to Swami about your day right before going to bed. And what that does is it subconsciously makes you believe the fact that there is someone above watching you and protecting you all the time. And that nullifies all your worries. Because when you know that there is someone guiding you, you don't have to worry.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone wants to ask any questions, please come forward. In the meantime, is your parents are there joined?
My mom said she would join in, but I'm not sure if she is.
Okay, if she's there, please ask her to come forward and say some words. In the meantime, anyone wants to ask any questions? Because it's not only you, it's a God, everything, and the parent too. Parenthood also take a big part in your life, I think. So
Definitely.
I'll, who wants to ask any questions, please go ahead. Sharanya, you want to ask any questions? Because you people.
Yeah, Sairam, we've got a lot of SSC children that join the call and they sing a lot of bhajans as well. And as a musician yourself, do you have any advice for them as to how to approach singing bhajans for the first time and learning these songs and singing it for Swami?
Um, for me personally, singing bhajans is never something that's structural. For me, bhajans is all about bhava and emotion. Um, when I try too much in terms of technically getting a bhajan right, I feel like I don't, I mess it up. I just close my eyes, pray to Swami, and just give it as an offering to Swami, and he takes care of the rest. Because at the end of the day, as a bhajan singer, you are a medium for all other devotees to connect to God. Someone told me this when I was very young. All bhajan singers are like a mobile phone. So when a devotee is trying to call God, they connect to God through the bhajans. So as a singer, you want to connect to God and you want to help others connect to God. And to do that, for me at least, it is just closing my eyes, praying to Swami, and just leaving it up to him.
Okay.
Uncle, you've muted.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that answer fine?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. Thank
Okay.
you.
I also want to ask any questions. Please come ahead, or otherwise, can I ask Dr. Upadhyay to make Arvind talk a little bit?
Actually, you have come out with such a wonderful message for the youngsters who always feel the difficulty. Also, you had this time actually, when you felt that you were not connected with Swami while you were in Saudi Arabia for a brief time. How could you rejoin with?
It was, I guess it was just Swami's divine sort of play, because I resisted every opportunity that I was given to rejoin Swami. When I was asked to prepare for the entrance exam, I said no. When I was going to go to the interview, I was preparing myself to give a very negative answer. But I guess Swami just takes a grab of you. And once you realize that, for me, right now, it is whenever I'm given the opportunity to do Swami's work, I say yes. And I just never say no, because I want to keep doing Swami's work. So once you realize that Swami has an individual connection with every one of his devotees, at least as far as I believe, and you can't force someone else to have that connection. It is their own personal journey with Swami, and everyone's realization comes about at a different point in their life, and you need to believe that Swami will give you that realization, be it when you're young as a 5-year old, be it when you're 20, be it when you're 50. But Swami will give you that realization, and once you get that realization, it is important to hold on to Swami.
Beautifully said. But just to further your answer, just wanted to ask, many of the youth actually since Swami has physically departed from the world, how you feel always connected to Swami, that he is motivating you, and also so that some of the youth who are moving away, what will be the message to bring them back in?
Again, this is something that I heard in a speech that someone gave in our school. Um, when someone asked about Swami leaving his physical form and how it is hard for people to connect to Swami when his physical form is not there. So, what this person said was, without Swami's physical form, Swami is what you perceive him to be. Swami is not restricted to that 5'5" figure, right? It is not that whenever you go to Parthi, you see Swami, and that is Swami. When Swami's physical presence is not there, everything is Swami. Everyone you see is Swami. Every work you do is for Swami. When you start believing in that and start seeing God in everyone, you stay connected to Swami. I mean, at the end of the day, you you don't even need to stay connected to Swami as an entity. You need to stay connected. To me, staying connected to Swami is staying connected to his message and seeing God in everyone and being loving and kind to everyone is the way, at least for me, that is how I stay connected to Swami.
Thank you, Arvind. Beautifully explained. And as Brother Ramlan said, that if your mother is there, can you ask her to just say a few words? That will be wonderful.
I think my mother is here. She put a message in the chat box. I'm not sure if she's
Like to hear, because in India it is a Mother's Day today. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, my mother's right there.
Yes. Sai Ram, everyone. Sai Ram. It's a great opportunity to listen to all of you, and I'm very thankful that the Sai family is making my son grounded and always be associated with Swami. And it is Swami's grace that everything is happening through His will. Thank you so much. And as a mother, I also had inhibition. Like, no, I was also worried when my son was struggling to settle down in 11th. At that time, one of the Sai sisters, I don't know her, she saw me standing there. She told that one person was a doctor. She told, whenever the children, I am residing in Parthi, but my children are in hostel, because whenever they sit under Kulwant Hall, Swami gives immense energy. Swami guides them and makes them do their work in a righteous way. That is why I have put my children here. That's what she told me. And another sister told me, you do namasmarana. Don't think that your son is away from you. Just pray. Whatever mothers pray, Swami makes it happen. You pray that let him be happy and do his work properly. You just pray to Swami, write Om Shri Sai Ram. That's the only thing I do for my children. I do the namasmarana and I leave it to Swami. I chant, I do Ashtotram also. I leave it to Swami. I just pray that they should be in a righteous path always and take care of them, Swami. That is my only prayer. Sai Ram and Sai Ram, everyone.
Sairam, Sairam sister, thank you. Brother Upad, you want to say something? Sorry.
No, I just want to say, what an appropriate thing to have Arvind's mother on this Mother's Day and listen to her deep faith in Swami. That convictions the parents should have. That is the way they guide their children in the right direction. Thank you very much, sister.
Thank you. Sister,
Sai Ram.
okay. Just give me some advice, because I'm dealing with children and everything. Because children are okay, but sometimes the parents are in a different mood. So to bring a child in the right path, or maybe the spiritual path, what will be the advice for the parents?
No, I am also in the progress league for I feel that each child has got its own journey, and we should, as a parent, we should pray and we should be a role model and we should try. And it's a no, every day is a learning as for every mothers. And I am in the process only, and so I leave it to Swami. And when I'm disturbed with something, I just tell them this is what Swami says, and I just leave it to Swami and pray to Swami. And sometimes these children, too much of advices also doesn't work. When we leave it to Swami, things will fall in place. And we should give them the values like SSC classes. All this will always be there with our children. And definitely they are affected by the society, and that influence will be always there. But I know that our prayers and Swami will always protect all the children. I know that our prayers will protect them. That's one sister told in Kulwant Hall. I told, that is the only thing I'm doing. Pray for the children, and Swami, whatever happens, no, you please take care of them. When we sincerely pray to Swami, Swami will take care of them. That's the only thing I could say to that. Saira.
Thank you, sister. Thanks very much. So, Arvind, so you got a blessing from all of us and from your parents and from God. You are a gifted child. I have to ask this question. I'm sorry, maybe it's a bit of kind of a hard question, or I don't know. There was a time, someone says they got a chance in university, and it gives up. Sometimes it gives up because there's one member of the congregation, he contacted me. They says that it gives a wrong idea that without studying you can get into higher position. I'm just asking, Swami emphasize the importance of studying and the education. And I know you said that Swami's look after you, but it's never happened without studying, and Swami won't allow you, isn't it? So just give me that idea, because I know that person also here. So all the students and parents should understand you have to work for it. So can you talk about that, please?
Definitely. I feel like Swami gives so much importance to every aspect of a student's life, be it extracurricular activities, be it sports, whatever. But the most important thing is academics, because the dharma of a student is to study well. So you can't say I'm a Sai devotee and I'm going to pray to Swami and magically everything is going to happen well. That is not the case. You have to put in efforts to the best of your ability, and anything beyond that, which is the result, that is in Swami's hands. That you leave it up to Swami. But your effort has to be genuine and to the best of your ability. It is a different thing if, say, you fall sick before the exam, you try your best, but you're not able to study. That is a different scenario. But you, to your own conscience, you must be able to look in the mirror, ask yourself if you've put in all the efforts that you can possibly put in. And if you answer that question with a no, then you have a little further to work. But if you are able to say yes to that question, then that's all you can do. The results, you leave it up to Swami. Whether they are good, whether they are bad, that is up to Swami. But you have to put in your own efforts first. And that is, after that only will Swami help you.
Thank you very much. I think we can move on to Bhajan. Before that, do you want to give any advice to the, not as a, only youngsters, the people, especially at your age, people used to say, no, we don't have time. Whenever, do you all have time for spend for God, just to offer for God? Because normally, you'd say, oh, I'm very busy, I'm very busy. So the time management, how did you manage your time?
For me,
your time.
For me personally, I go through different phases when sometimes I'm busy if it's exam season, or sometimes I'm not doing much if it is during the summer and stuff like that. I try engage in more Sai activities when I have the time. And even if I don't, like I said, I want to devote some part of my day to Swami every day. So what I started doing recently was during January, February, during lockdown, when I was in my placement, I found it very hard to cope with work, and it was honestly building so much pressure up on my head. And during that time, I have these set of cards that are called Swami talking cards, which you get in Parthi. There's a set of about 100, 200 cards which with different messages from Swami. So I prayed to Swami and I picked up a card which said, chant Hanuman Chalisa. And since that day, even if I'm busy, even if I've not got much time because I have to study or do my other work or whatever, I make sure that I listen to Hanuman Chalisa before going to bed. And I make sure that I listen to Hanuman Chalisa the first thing after I wake up as well. Because that is what Swami has asked me to do. And I mean, as long as I devote whatever little time towards Swami, that it is, as I said, you take one step towards Swami. Swami is so merciful, he will take 100 steps towards you. You just have to take that one step. And he takes care of the rest.
Sairam, Arvind. So you follow some kind of discipline towards Swami teaching. Okay, I think it's looked like we can talk forever with you, but because of the time constraint, I have to stop at one point. Brother, Dr. Upadhyay, so maybe wrap it up, then we'll go to the bhajan.
I think for the sake of the youth, should have a session with the youth with Arvind. That will be my proposal actually, as a separate conversation with the youth, and they can come with a question, personal question and answer, what they're having difficulty at home, school, at work, wherever. And if he can speak to one, I think that would be wonderful. Like you had one session, that would be wonderful. So get his,
I would love to.
So that devotion which he had for Swami, and to do something for Swami, that is very, very inspiring for every one of us. May God bless you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay. And Arvind, I hope you enjoyed the conversation with us. Okay, will you sing with us?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, I know you are in a hotel, but you have any device to back up, or you don't need a backup, only Swami's voice?
As in, I didn't understand. I have a phone with me. I have a backup with you.
Tambura or something like that. Okay, no problem. Thanks very much. Okay, thank you very much. So we will arrange another one with Arvind. And this time I got to thank Newcastle President, you call him Kailash Anna. And what's your, okay, I speak to him. Thank you very much, Kailash, for arranging and give the lead of Arvind. Thank you very much.